Hi everyone, welcome back to PeakLife. Today we're diving into a topic that's close to my heart. The crucial skills and lessons that my engineering degree didn't teach me, and I'm guessing won't teach you either. Whether you're a student and just entering into your degree, or you're a recent graduate, or well along your way into your career. I think today's video will be helpful to identify some of the gaps that today's educational system leaves. Let's get started. First, let's talk about our professional skills. These skills are crucial in the workforce, and yet they're often left out from the curriculum in at least my engineering education. First is the technical application. While I found that the university degree was great at teaching high-level methods like differential equations for solving thermodynamics, I found there wasn't enough focus on the basics, the kind of stuff that we use every day, like strength of materials, fatigue analysis, and applications of machine design. All of which we really focused a lot more in the college diploma that I did before my degree. These are things that I use every day, and textbooks like Rourke's formulas for stress and strain are fantastic, but so are the more simple ones. So I encourage you through your degree, make sure you focus on the basics. How to calculate bending stress, shear stress, how to do bolt circle failure analysis. Become comfortable in these so when you get into the workforce, you can actually do these calculations and provide value to your employer. Next, we have project management. Managing projects and teams was a big learning curve. And I'm sure if you're anything like me, you suffered at the hand of poor teams more than once. There's a joke that goes, when I die, I want to be buried by my teammates so they can let me down just one more time. While this might be a little morbid, in my case it was true. I found team members were often letting me down. Everyone seemed to have a different scope of what they wanted out of a project. While some people like me want to learn as much as possible. Others wanted the best grade as possible, even if this meant cheating. While some people wanted to just scrape by doing the minimal amount of work. From this and the huge applications of leading teams in the real world, I wish I would have learned earlier how to effectively communicate. How to inspire and lead others instead of just directing them what to do. One huge tip I have on this is take a leadership course, something like Darren Hardy's Hero's Journey. Or if that's not in the budget, grab something like Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is an absolute must read for clear communication. Moving on to industry-specific knowledge. Well, I found in projects through university, we had almost no constraints for the materials and the designs that we came up with. While this was great as a starting point, in the real world I found there's far more constraints, like material cost, availability, what your company already has on hand. Well, in university you might be able to just select any sort of 4340 QT steel. In reality, they're not very weldable. So oftentimes you have to look for different options to keep your carbon equivalents down. And then it comes into things like what machines you have available. Sometimes you have to get creative because you might want a laser cut plate, but the laser cutters you have available can't do anything thicker than 1/2 inch. So through university, make sure you focus on why you're selecting a material. Is this something that's cost effective and readily available? A great resource for this is the book Skunk Works by Ben Rich, which goes over the development of the Blackbird and how to select off-the-shelf components whenever possible. Now let's shift to personal development. Skills and knowledge that shape who you are as a person and also who you are as a leader to your organization. With leadership skills, I learned a little too late that leading through inspiration and guiding the team is far better than leading through direction and demand. And one of the most important parts of leadership is clear and concise communication. As a leader, you need to align many different personality types and their priorities. You need to get everyone on the same page and working towards the same mission. So while you're at university, focus on becoming the team leader and work on your leadership skills, specifically your communication. On to networking and relationships. Networking is a superpower. In university, I found quite quickly that if I was stuck, I could ask someone else who was better at that specific subject, and they could save me hours and give me a better understanding. In the real world, I find that there's oftentimes not one solution. So when you develop great relationships, you can go to your customers, your suppliers, or other friends in different industries and ask how they would solve something. Something like, how do you set up your team's priorities and track their progress? And if you don't have these networks, you end up feeling a lot more alone and like you have to figure out everything yourself. Next, we have work-life balance. I found in university there wasn't much talk about this. Instead, the directive was you just put in as many hours as it takes to get it done. However, there was no focus on how you spend those hours. I found I would often cut sleep by staying up way too late to try to get projects finished. But the kicker was, while I was working on these projects, I wasn't doing deep focused work. Instead, I was socializing, might be scrolling YouTube, instead of just buckling down and getting the project done. What this meant is that I didn't have the time for socializing, sports, or other hobbies. But instead, and what I've realized over the past couple years, if you create focused work time to buckle down with no distractions and get your project done, you'll end up getting better quality work done in a less amount of time overall. The book by Cal Newport called Deep Work has been a game changer for this, and I highly recommend you read it. And while you're going through university, try to block out your time to have socializing, hobbies, sports, fitness, and whatever else is important to you. And by doing that, you know that you have to focus to get your work done so that you can go and do those activities. And lastly, let's talk about business acumen. These skills are essential for anyone looking to excel in their career. First of all, you need to understand customer needs. In my experience, there was almost no emphasis of this in school whatsoever. Everything we did in university was very solo or project based. But now in the real world, whatever you're creating, it doesn't matter unless the customer actually understands what they're getting and they want what you're providing. This means, as engineers, it's not just about focusing on the product's features, but the benefit to the customer. What value add are they getting by going with your product? So while you're going through university, try to understand why people want what they want. Next, we have financial management. Well, anyone in university knows that you have to manage a budget. You have to make sure that you have enough money to buy your textbooks, pay your rent, your tuition, and still be able to go out for drinks on the Friday night. But what isn't as obvious is how you manage projects, how you manage the material costs, the labor that's going into it. I ended up having to learn this through trial and error, and oftentimes a lot more error than just trial. I ran out of money. I had projects that were over budget. I spec'd out materials that meant that we weren't making any money on that project. So try to save yourself this. And while you're going through projects, try to understand the cost of things. If you add in this detailed or high tolerance part, what value is that adding to the customer versus how much is it costing you to produce it? And finally, probably the most important piece is your strategic career planning. When I was going through engineering school, it was just about what industry you wanted to work in and what salary they paid. There was no emphasis or talk about what skills you would learn or what your trajectory would be and opportunities for advancement. So when you're looking at the different industries, different job offers, ask yourself first not what they pay, but instead what skills are you going to learn? Are you just going to be sitting there drafting the same drawing over and over? Or are you going to get hands-on experience learning how to machine or learning how to install different tools? Are you going to get to talk to the customers, the president of the company, and the shop floor personnel? I highly recommend you focus not on the salary first, but instead the skills that you learn. Because the more skills you gain in the shorter period of time, the faster you can advance to more money and a more fulfilling career. Well, that wraps up our discussion of what I wished my engineering degree focused on a little more. I would love to hear down on the comments how your degree went or what sort of things you're struggling with. And if you're already a young professional, remember, it's never too late to focus and grow in these areas. So if you found this video helpful, please check out this one up here where I outline the 7 tips to help advance your engineering career. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.